You know that friend who makes the same salary as you but somehow always has money? Not just surviving, actually comfortable. No side hustle. No crypto windfall. No secret inheritance they conveniently forgot to mention at dinner. They just always seem to have breathing room in their bank account while you are running mental calculations in the grocery store checkout line, trying to figure out if you can afford both the chicken and the avocados this week. The difference is not income. It never was. The difference is a set of quiet daily habits that cost 0 extra hours of work but completely change where your money ends up. The American personal savings rate just hit 3%. 3. That means for every $100 you earn after taxes, you are keeping 3 of them. The rest disappears into the financial void of convenience, comfort, and consumption you will not even remember next month. The Japanese save closer to 17% of their income. Same access to Amazon. Same streaming services. Same dopamine-engineered apps designed to separate you from your paycheck at 2 in the morning when your willpower is at its weakest. But one culture treats money protection as a daily practice. The other treats it as something you will get around to eventually, right after this next purchase. My name is Ki. I grew up between 2 completely different money cultures. My Japanese mother ran our household finances with the discipline and precision of a small business owner. Every yen had a purpose. Every purchase had a reason. Meanwhile, my American neighbors financed furniture for rooms they barely walked into and leased cars that cost more per month than my mother's entire quarterly clothing budget. I used to think my mom was just frugal. Now I realize she was just operating a better system. These 10 habits are not about hustling harder, waking up earlier, or grinding yourself into dust. They are about keeping the money you already earn instead of watching it evaporate into purchases you will not remember by next Tuesday. Number 10. Enryo. The art of holding back. In Japan, there is a cultural habit called Enryo. It roughly translates to restraint, or politely holding back. When someone offers you the last piece of food, you pause. When you see something you want in a shop window, you wait. Not because you cannot afford it. Because automatic restraint is woven into how Japanese people interact with the world. You do not grab for things. You let the impulse pass and see if it returns with a legitimate reason. Americans do the opposite. See it. Want it. Buy it. Figure out the budget situation later. Maybe return it. Probably forget to return it. That approach costs the average American nearly $4,000 a year in pure impulse purchases. Not planned spending. Not genuine needs. Random grabs at checkout lines, late-night online shopping sessions, and those add-to-cart decisions you make because the algorithm showed you something shiny at exactly the right emotional moment. Smart Sam practices Enryo with a 72-hour rule. See something, want something, wait 3 days. If you still want it after 72 hours and it fits the budget, buy it guilt-free. Most of the time, the desire evaporates by day 2. Broke Brian buys everything the moment the thought crosses his mind, then wonders why his savings account balance looks the same every single month despite getting 2 raises in 2 years. The consequence of zero Enryo is invisible but devastating. You never feel broke in the moment because each individual purchase is small enough to rationalize. $7 here, $12 there. A subscription you forgot about charging you $15 a month for something you used once in February. None of these feel significant on their own. But $4,000 in avoided impulse purchases per year, invested at 7%, turns into nearly $58,000 in a decade. That is not a promotion. That is not overtime. That is not a side hustle. That is just pausing before you swipe and asking yourself one question. Do I need this? Or do I just want it right now because my brain is bored? Number 9. Furoshiki thinking. Furoshiki is a traditional Japanese wrapping cloth. One square piece of fabric that serves as a grocery bag, a gift wrap, a lunch carrier, a table decoration, a beach blanket, and a dozen other things depending on how you fold it. The core idea is elegant. One item, multiple purposes. Why own 10 things when one thing does 10 jobs? Americans buy a different product for every single function imaginable. A lunch bag, a gift bag, a tote bag, a reusable shopping bag, a produce bag, a gym bag. 6 purchases where 2 would do the job perfectly. This mindset extends way beyond bags. It is a fundamental difference in how you approach everything you own. Before you buy something new, the Furoshiki question is simple. Can something I already have do this job? My aunt in Osaka uses the same heavy cast iron pan for frying, baking, searing, roasting, and even serving food directly on the dinner table. She has used this single pan for over 20 years. My American friends have 14 different pans taking up cabinet space. Half of them bought because a cooking show made some specialty pan look absolutely essential for one specific recipe they made once. Those pans are now gathering dust behind the blender they also do not use. The opposite of Furoshiki thinking is what I call the American gadget drawer. Every household has one. That drawer stuffed with single-purpose tools, cables for devices you no longer own, 3 different can openers, and a avocado slicer someone bought because it looked useful in a 30-second ad. Each item seemed reasonable at the point of purchase, but collectively, that drawer represents hundreds of dollars spent solving problems that did not need separate products. When you apply Furoshiki thinking to your entire household, you save roughly $200 a month by repurposing instead of reflexively replacing. Over 5 years at 7% growth, that number compounds to nearly $15,000. Not by earning more money, by needing fewer things and getting more creative with what you already have. Number 8. Kakei kanri. Run your home like a business. Japanese households practice Kakei kanri, which translates to household financial management. Not a casual glance at your banking app once a month when you get nervous about the balance. An actual structured system where every dollar coming in has a specific assignment and every dollar going out has a documented category. Think of it like running your household as a small business. You have revenue, which is your paycheck. You have operating expenses. You have a profit margin, which is your savings rate. And you review the numbers consistently to make informed decisions about where to cut and where to invest. Most Americans have absolutely no idea where about 30% of their money goes each month. They know rent or mortgage. They know the car payment. They know the big predictable stuff. But the remaining 30% just evaporates into a fog of subscriptions they forgot they had, convenience purchases that felt tiny in the moment, and random spending they cannot even recall 2 weeks later. Research consistently shows that simply tracking your spending, nothing else, reduces it by 15 to 20%. No restrictive budget required. No deprivation. Just the act of seeing where money goes changes how you spend it. That means if you spend $5,000 a month, tracking alone saves you $750 monthly. $9,000 a year that required zero extra work. Just attention. My mother called this knowing where the water leaks. You cannot fix a leak you cannot see, and most Americans have financial leaks pouring money out of their accounts every single month that they have never even looked at because looking feels uncomfortable. Kakei kanri makes looking the default instead of the exception. Number 7. Junbi. Always be prepared. Junbi means preparation. In Japanese culture, being prepared is not some personality trait that some people have and some do not. It is a baseline social expectation. You carry what you might need. You plan for what might go wrong. You do not assume everything will work out and then panic when it does not. Financial Junbi means having a buffer between you and life's inevitable surprises so that small problems stay small instead of becoming catastrophic debt spirals. The average American faces about 1.5 financial emergencies per year. Car repair, unexpected medical bill, broken appliance, emergency travel for a family situation. And because most Americans have no meaningful emergency fund, those emergencies land directly on credit cards at 21% APR. That $2,500 car repair becomes $3,300 by the time you actually pay it off, making minimum payments. Then the next emergency hits before you finish paying the first one, and suddenly you are carrying $6,600 in credit card debt, which happens to be exactly the national average right now. That is not a coincidence. That is a country full of people without Junbi. Smart Sam keeps 3 to 6 months of expenses in a boring high-yield savings account he pretends does not exist. When the water heater dies, it is a Tuesday inconvenience. He writes a check, gets it fixed, and moves on with his week. Not a financial crisis. Not a panicked call to figure out which credit card still has room on it. Broke Brian puts the same repair on a credit card at 21% interest and effectively pays for hot water twice over the next 2 years, while the minimum payment barely touches the principal. The irony is that Junbi does not require a massive upfront investment. Starting with even $500 set aside specifically for emergencies changes your entire relationship with unexpected expenses. You stop fearing them. You stop losing sleep over what might break next. And you stop feeding the credit card companies interest payments on problems that should have been minor inconveniences. Number 6. Narau, yori, nareru. Habit beats knowledge every time. There is a Japanese saying, Narau, yori, nareru. It translates roughly to rather than studying it, get accustomed to doing it. Learn through practice, not through theory. The financial version of this principle is absolutely devastating for Americans because we are arguably the most financially educated yet financially unprepared generation in history. We love consuming personal finance content, podcasts, books, YouTube videos, social media threads about money. We can explain compound interest, index fund allocation, and debt avalanche strategies in our sleep. We just do not actually do any of it consistently. Japanese financial culture is the opposite. Less about knowing, more about doing. My mother never read a single personal finance book in her entire life. She could not tell you what an index fund was. But she did the same things with money every single day for 40 years without exception. Tracked spending. Set aside savings before touching anything else. Waited before purchasing. Cooked at home. Maintained what she owned. The habits were boring, automatic, and completely invisible to anyone watching, and they worked better than every piece of financial advice I have consumed in a decade of actively trying to learn about money. The lesson is uncomfortable but important. You do not need more information. You need more repetition of the basics you already know. Start doing one financial habit today. Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. And repeat it until it becomes as automatic as locking your front door when you leave. That is Narau yori nareru in practice. If you are finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I break down Japanese financial principles every week that actually work in a Western context. Now let me tell you about number 5. Number 5. Taisetsu ni suru. Treat what you own like it matters. Taisetsu ni suru means to treat something with genuine care and importance. In Japan, this principle applies to everything you own. Your shoes get cleaned and stored properly, your coat gets brushed and hung with care, your electronics get protective cases and regular maintenance, Your kitchen tools get hand-washed and dried immediately. You do not just use things carelessly until they break and then replace them with something from Amazon arriving tomorrow. You respect what you have, and in return, it lasts. Americans treat products like they are fundamentally disposable. Phone screen cracked, but technically still functional. Time for an upgrade. Jacket zipper is stuck. Easier to buy a new one than fix it. Couch cushions are slightly flat after 2 years. Must be time for a whole new sofa set. The average American household spends around $18,000 annually on goods and services for their home. If Taisetsu ni suru extends the useful life of those products by even 30%, you are avoiding roughly $1,000 in unnecessary replacement costs every single year. Not by going without, by simply caring for what you already own. My grandmother had the same tea set for 35 years. Not because she could not afford a new one, because she maintained it like it mattered. Every piece washed by hand, dried carefully with a soft cloth, and stored wrapped in fabric. That tea set outlasted 3 American coffee makers I personally went through in the same decade because I treated them like they were replaceable. They were replaceable. But my wallet noticed every single time. Number 4. Matomegai. Buy smart, not often. Matomegai means buying in bulk or purchasing things together strategically. But not the American warehouse store version where you walk in for paper towels and leave with a 48-pack of granola bars, a 7-pound bag of trail mix, and an inflatable kayak you convinced yourself was a great deal. Japanese Matomegai is calculated and intentional. You identify what your household actually uses consistently. You monitor pricing cycles. You buy enough to last until the next optimal buying window. No impulse additions. No panic purchases. Just math and patience working together. The average American household spends about $600 monthly on household staples. Strategic Matomegai, buying at the right time and the right quantities, cuts that number by 15 to 20%. That is roughly $100 a month, or $1,200 a year, saved without switching brands, reducing quality, or feeling like you are sacrificing anything. You are just making fewer unplanned trips to the store where you inevitably grab 4 extra things that were not on the list because they were conveniently placed at eye level near the checkout. Smart Sam makes a household inventory once a month, identifies what is running low before it runs out, and buys in planned batches when prices dip. Broke Brian runs to the store 4 times a week, picks up $20 worth of random stuff each trip that he had no intention of buying, and seriously wonders why his grocery spending looks like a car payment every single month. Number 3. Tekipaki. Be efficient, not busy. Tekipaki describes doing things quickly, cleanly, and efficiently. Not rushed or sloppy. Just focused action without unnecessary steps or wasted motion. Japanese culture values getting tasks completed well in less time, rather than filling every available hour with frantic activity and calling it productivity. The financial connection here is direct and underestimated. Wasted time almost always converts into wasted money. The person who meal preps on Sunday afternoon spends about $3 per lunch for the entire work week. The person who figures it out each day at noon spends $12 per meal, 5 days a week, $60 total. Same food. Same calories. Different system. That gap adds up to $2,300 over a year without a single extra hour of work. Tekipaki also applies to managing your money itself. The person who spends 20 quiet minutes on Sunday evening reviewing accounts, catching rogue subscription charges, and adjusting their weekly spending plan catches small problems before they compound into expensive ones. The person who ignores their finances entirely until something bounces or a credit card statement arrives with a surprise balance is perpetually playing defense. And defense is expensive. An overdraft fee here. a late payment there. A missed promotional rate expiration that bumps your APR from 0 to 22% because you forgot to pay attention for one billing cycle. Prevention takes minutes. Recovery takes months and thousands of dollars. Tekipaki is not about rushing through life. It is about eliminating the financial waste that comes from disorganization, procrastination, and the very American habit of dealing with money problems only after they become money emergencies. Number 2. Kurikaeshi. Repetition is the real wealth builder. Kurikaeshi means repetition. Doing the same thing over and over and over until it becomes as automatic as breathing. It is not exciting. It will never go viral on social media. Nobody is making motivational content about doing the same boring financial task for the 400th consecutive month. But consistency compounding into results is the closest thing to financial magic that actually exists. Smart Sam invests $500 every single month for 20 years at 7% average return. Does not try to time the market. Does not chase trending stocks. Does not even think about it anymore because the transfer is automated and invisible. After 20 years of pure Kurikaeshi, Smart Sam has over $263,000. Broke Brian decides to do the exact same thing, but starts 10 years later because he was going to get around to it eventually. Same monthly contribution. Same rate of return, but Broke Brian ends up with just under $89,000. The gap between them is not skill, not income, not intelligence. It is $174,000 worth of Kurikaeshi. Just showing up and repeating the same boring action, month after month, year after year. My father had a saying he repeated so often it became background noise in our house. Rich people are boring with money. Broke people are exciting with money. He was absolutely right. The wealthiest families I knew growing up in Japan were the most financially boring human beings on the planet. Same routines, same habits, same quiet repetition compounding silently in the background while everyone else chased the next shiny financial trend. Number 1. Shizuka no seikatsu, live quietly. Shizuka no seikatsu means quiet living. And this is the habit that makes all the other 9 actually work. In Japan, even millionaire families live modestly. Compact homes. Reliable but unremarkable cars. Understated clothing that prioritizes quality and longevity over logos and brand recognition. Not because they are punishing themselves. Because quiet living removes the single most expensive pressure in American financial life, the constant need to perform wealth for an audience of strangers who do not care about you. Americans spend an extraordinary amount of money on visibility. The right car parked in the driveway. The right neighborhood with the right zip code. The right brands visible on your body. All of it costs real money that could be building real wealth instead. And the brutal irony is that most of the people engaged in this performance are not actually wealthy. They are financing the appearance of wealth while their real net worth sits at 0 or below. Total American credit card debt is sitting at $1.25 trillion right now. The average person carries about $6,600 at 21% APR. That is not wealth. That is a monthly subscription to looking like you have money, while the interest charges quietly guarantee you never actually will. None of these 10 habits require a promotion. None require a second job. None require you to wake up at 4 in the morning and grind yourself into exhaustion chasing some productivity fantasy that burns you out by Thursday. They just require you to do less. Spend less. Replace less. Perform less. And let the money you are already earning actually stay in your life long enough to start compounding in your favor instead of evaporating into purchases, performances, and problems that better habits would have prevented entirely.